Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lindie, and over here we talk about language learning, motivation, and mindset. Today we're going to talk about obstacles that people have when learning languages, things that make it difficult for you to start learning, and reasons why people fail to learn or struggle to continue. I'm going to start by talking about the perception that people have of multilinguals or successful language learners. When I see people just starting out in language learning, talking to people who have learned a few languages, something that often comes up are questions like, how did you learn all of these languages? That's a normal, valid question. And then they go and say, you must have some kind of magic talent. You were born this way. Wow, you're really lucky. But people don't actually realize it's not luck or talent or magic to speak multiple languages. It's really time, effort, skill, motivation, discipline, consistency, community, immersion, all of these factors that contribute to successfully being able to learn a language. So just briefly, the first thing I want to touch on is don't go into language learning thinking that this is impossible. I need to have a special talent. I need to have been born with a skill. Absolutely not. It is more than possible to just learn the right techniques, be immersed in a language, be in the right community to be able to learn a language to fluency. It's not a magic talent that only some people are born with. And then the next obstacle to progressing towards fluency is people learning unnecessary things at the wrong time when learning a language. If you're just starting out and you don't know much, let's say you're reading a piece of text or watching a video, there are going to be so many new words that you don't know, and you might feel like, I have to write them all down. I have to make flashcards of all of these. I have to know everything because I don't understand anything. No, you don't need to learn every single new word there is because you might not use them immediately. Rather learn through natural daily conversations. So I would warn you to not just learn everything that you see in front of you, but to be a bit more strategic about, ask yourself, like, what are the types of conversations I want to have? What topics am I interested in? What do I want to talk to people about? And expose yourself to content where you can see useful, normal, natural, daily conversations. A resource that I would recommend is a service like Lingopie. I think I might actually unsubscribe to Netflix because I'm getting so much awesome content on Lingopie and I'm learning languages at the same time. Lingopie is a fantastic service which allows you to watch local content with same language subtitles. And they engage with local producers, so you can get really unique content that you're not going to find on somewhere like YouTube or Netflix. They also organize the content here into beginner-friendly, new releases, historical TV shows, movies, best of, coming soon, podcasts. There's so much content here. You can also switch your languages, and the languages that they have available right now are Spanish, Portuguese, German, French, Italian, and Russian. But fear not if you're not learning these languages. They plan to add 2 to 3 languages every single year. The best thing about Lingopie is the dual subtitles. So while you're watching something in your target language, you're gonna have subtitles in 2 languages so you can follow along and see what they're saying. If you tap on a word, it'll give you the meaning. You can also turn on auto pause at the end of each sentence so that you can shadow or repeat what has just been said. So I just said that it is not a good idea to just randomly learn words that you find somewhere and you don't have context or a connection to. Something really cool about Lingopie is that if you watch a video and you tap on a word that you don't know in the subtitles, it's going to add it to a word list for you. And when you stop watching, it's going to give you those words and you can go back and look at them. And the best thing is that you can play the audio and your brain will make this connection of, okay, I learned this word in this context of this video about this topic, and you start making connections with these words and you're going to remember them so much faster. If you're just starting out in a language, it could be hard for you to follow along if it's really fast. So what you can also do on Lingopie is to change the speed of the video. If you're looking for a really cool immersive experience with subtitles, you can turn on Mashup, which will combine English and your target language into one mashed together sentence. And that is also a really cool technique to learn words in context. Another feature that I enjoy is the on-screen transcription, so you can see a transcript of everything you are watching and where exactly you are at in the script. Lingopie also has a 7-day free trial. If you want to try it out, no pressure. I encourage you to use the link in the description to check out Lingopie. Another thing I'll say that you should be wary of is not over planning your language timeline and the resources you use. And something that always comes up is I think people are always looking for the best method to learn a language, and they overplan, they think so hard, and they're not actually starting to learn a language right away. Now, the reason I think this happens is that on YouTube, on forums online, we are so overwhelmed and bombarded by information of people saying this is the best way to learn a language, this is the fastest way to learn, and so forth. And we think that it's kind of impossible to start learning a language if we haven't perfected our method and our schedule. About 10 years ago, when I started learning Korean, this wasn't really the case. We didn't have... Did Instagram exist back then? If Instagram existed, it was like there was no language community there. So I just sort of went into it kind of blindly, and I still managed to learn Korean to a pretty decent level. But now I think we're trying so hard to find the perfect method instead of actually just starting. Again, like I always say, when I started Korean, Japanese 10 or 8 years ago, I didn't have a lot of resources. In South Africa, we had like 2 Japanese textbooks in the entire store. If I had gone and been like, oh my gosh, which textbook do I need? What's the best method? What's the fastest way to learn? I would have been wasting time instead of starting with the little that I did have. So I just used like one textbook. I had one person I could talk to, and I built it up from there. I recommend you not to overplan, not to think, oh, what is the best way to learn? Just start with what you have. And on the note of overplanning a language, I don't mean that it's a bad idea to have a plan, some goals, a schedule, a language diary like this one, but you shouldn't let that take more time from the actual language learning. You should be learning more than you are actually planning. Planning is just to guide you, to look back upon, but it shouldn't be the majority of what you spend your time on. And then the next obstacle to successfully learning a language is something that I see with school students, younger language learners, and this is writing everything down. I've mentioned this in some videos before. I would just warn you, if you're going into language learning, to not focus so much on perfection and aesthetics, but be really strategic about your note-taking methods. I'm not one to talk. I absolutely love writing notes. I have so many notebooks, but I try to use minimal English in my notes. I don't copy like full sentences from textbooks, and I go back to my notes sometimes to review words, pull them out into flashcards, and so forth. If you're using your notebook in a strategic manner, that is going to be really good. So don't write everything down. And the final obstacle to learning a language is rushing. When we look at all of this content out there on the social media universe, we think, oh my gosh, this person is so far ahead in their journey, or wow, this person learned a language in 2 months, and you know, I have to perform at that level. Take your time, don't rush. Don't set too high expectations for yourself, because you are going to spend more time worrying about how fast you're learning or not learning, instead of actually enjoying the experience, talking to people, and having fun. For most of us on here, language learning is a hobby. It's not necessarily our jobs, unless we are translators, interpreters, and the like, which I have so much respect for. But if you're really just here for learning a hobby, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Enjoy the journey. I hope this video has been useful for you. Let me know in the comments if you have other ideas or tips on how to overcome obstacles to language learning. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.